Guys, welcome here to High Sierra Fly-In 2022. I thought I'd walk around a couple of these really awesome airplanes with you, talk with the owners, find out what they've done, and see how these planes are a little bit different than just your regular plane. Everybody, this is Trent Palmer if you don't know. He has the Awesomeness channel, and actually, he is one of the inspirations for me actually buying my own airplane. So thank you, Trent.
Dude,
I sure do appreciate it.
I'm proud.
His plane is actually the same, started as the same airplane as mine, a Kitfox 5.
Yep.
But it definitely looks a lot cooler than mine. So why don't you walk us through real quick on some of the mods that you've done over the years to make it a little bit more STOL ready.
Okay. So yeah, like you said, mine was a standard Series 5. Now mine originally came a little different than yours, that it was on bungee gear, so no spring gear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the original builder left it on bungee gear. Second owner, which is who I bought it through, put spring gear on it. So at that point it was the exact same configuration as yours.
Okay.
From there, after I got it, I think the first thing I did is the same thing as you, big tires. That's the ultimate mod because basically you can extend every single runway.
Yeah.
You're saying what might have only had 500 usable feet now has a couple hundred feet on both ends because you can roll over stuff that you don't see, plus the angle of attack. But after that, I did the Bush gear, which would basically, it's the Cabane suspension gear, gets you even more angle of attack, and with the shocks, you're able to absorb impact, and instead of the bounce that a spring gear will give you, basically it'll take a big beating, but it gives some of it back. This just absorbs it. You basically just splat down and you're done. Uses dual air shocks that are in tension, so it's weird. That's how they're reversed through that assembly. It's a really great design, and because there's two shocks on each side, there's redundancy. So if one were to blow out, you're not on your wing. But this gear also sits about 3 inches higher at the fuselage, so that's where that extra angle of attack also makes you blind, which is where I came up with the running the little camera. It's like a rear view camera on it. Excuse all this, it's filthy because it's the High Sierra. But that was the first big mod, and then the second thing was the STI wing, which is an entirely different wing. Basically, it's a thicker cord, a longer cord, and it has more under camber, so it's a higher lift profile wing. Because it's a larger wing overall, you can kind of carry more weight, although we don't change the gross weight of the airplanes. Basically, with the standard wing, I found out here when I had measured out, putting a passenger in my plane would double my ground roll. So if I was, 300 feet at the time, it put me out to 600 feet. This thing, it's like, it doesn't really count. So that's where this wing fits in. It does stall a little slower than the standard wing when you're light. Heavy to heavy, it's a whole different ball game. But as Ryan felt, he flew with me, the flight controls are heavier. It's closer to a Cub because you're pushing a bigger wing through the air, and also asymmetrical flap rods.
Yeah. So his engine is like way more powerful than mine. I went flying with him, and takeoff, I was like, 2 people. It was just like, it was over double feeling like, wow, this is like climbing out.
Yeah.
So what's different about yours? I thought you actually had a 914 at one time, did you?
No.
915 and it's turbo?
Yeah, so the 915 is factory turbo fuel injected. And it's full FADEC, so it's all smart ECU driven.
Okay.
Everything's redundant. It's like the smartest and most advanced internal combustion engine you're gonna get in an aircraft right now. And the weird thing is it's rated at 141 horse. But this engine, because it's turbocharged, it makes full takeoff horsepower up to 15,000 feet. Whereas your engine, especially if you're not making RPM, so your peak RPM or peak horsepower is at 5,800 RPM. If you're making 52, you're not even anywhere near 100 horsepower, even at sea level. Now, if you're only turning 5,000 on takeoff up here, when the density altitude's 6,000,
52 on takeoff.
You're probably putting out an effective 65 horsepower. That's why this felt like double.
That's good to know.
Because it is.
Show me inside, because your interior is so different.
Yeah, and I have to confess, I used to preach that it's a bush plane and you don't need avionics. Look out the window. And I had a partnership with Garmin, so they helped me out with this. And after flying behind it for a while, I'm a huge believer, and mostly because it takes very little time to find what you need on here versus going through other apps or ForeFlight, or like if everything's in front of you, it's 2 clicks. You can keep your eyes outside, and especially when you're flying low and in the terrain instead of over it, it's a lifesaver.
100% agree. Yep. Yeah.
So it's just the G3X suite. I used to have a engine monitoring unit that handled the single lever control for a constant speed prop. The constant speed prop wasn't fitting my my flight demands.
Okay.
So I get a lot better takeoff performance out of this prop. It's a lot lighter, and I cruise at the same speed on less fuel.
Okay, and what kind of prop is it?
This is an NR. It's a 79-inch 3-blade.
Okay.
And yeah. It does have an autopilot, 2-axis. I don't have a yaw damper. I rarely ever use it. It's mostly for cruising cross country. I can hit level and pull my camera out and film whoever's around me.
Yep.
More of a safety feature there. I did show you the front view camera that comes through here for when I'm taxiing.
I will be buying one next week.
Yeah, it's worth its weight in gold. I had to shred one prop to figure out why I needed that. Other than that, I just have the Kitfox's nicer interior. It's all the, you know, suede with the memory foam seats. This was one of the mods I did early on. So one other thing, you know, the power is gonna get you to take off short. The big wing helps with that as well, but landing and stopping short is gonna be brakes and wheels. So I do have the Behringer's, they're the 6-inch wheels, but I've got dual caliper double pistons. So it's 4 pistons on the 2 calipers. So if you look, you can see the front set and back set, but there's 2 sets of calipers on each wheel. Trying to get the most braking I possibly can. The cool thing about the Kitfox, they're happy flying with a pretty heavy tail weight. It's just the arrangement of the main gear, basically. Whereas a Cub kind of wants to be tippy. The Kitfox, as you found out, if you get rid of flaps, that tail comes down and you can mash brakes.
Yeah.
So where we might land a little faster than a Cub, we can make up for that speed by braking harder than a Cub, and a lot of times it puts us right in the same ballpark. So that comes down to the brakes.
All right, thanks Trent so much for taking the time just to show us. I mean, I know I personally would have loved to have seen it close up, so I thought a lot of you guys would actually like it. Just a quick walkthrough close up to see what his plane actually looks like instead of just off of a wing camera or something like that. So
yeah,
awesome meeting you. I really did appreciate this week. So
you too. It was fun, man.
Yeah, awesome. See ya. All right, guys, I'm here with Steve Henry. He's one of the racers for today. I'd like just to walk around your plane and have you show us some unique things about it that make yours specific for STOL drag, because I know you've done a lot of extra modifications that you don't see in a lot of these other airplanes, and you also have a really unique engine. So why don't you tell us about the engine real quick and what makes your engine a little bit different than, well, all these other experimentals out here.
It started out as a snowmobile engine. It's a Yamaha Apex, so that's a 1000cc 4-cylinder Genesis series. It's a pretty high-tech engine. There's 5 valves per cylinder, double overhead cams, so it's a high RPM engine. This engine has been worked over inside to toughen it up so you can turbocharge it and still stay together. After that's done, it's more like 300 horsepower instead of 150 horsepower, depending on how you tune it. And that's the other thing that's pretty cool about it. We don't use the stock ignition that's all just preset. It's a different ignition system that's very tunable. So like we can tune that engine from 150 horsepower to 400 horsepower. It's a Highlander, a just aircraft Highlander to start with. And by the way, that's what we do. We're Wild West Aircraft. We sell these kits. And then not just sell the kit, but we help people to get them set up just like this one if they want. I mean,
so somebody else could get the same setup, a turbo. Do you have turbo kits for these things? Or
yeah, they're available. I mean, we don't necessarily have the turbo kit, but Edge Performance does.
If someone wants to put an Apex engine with like the engine mounts and everything like that, they'd go find it at your place.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it starts as a Highlander, and it really still is a Highlander. I do some little things like this leading edge cuff. It's a fiberglass piece that changes the shape of the leading edge of the wing, and it just really makes it work better. I mean, it'll fly slower, land slower, get more angle of attack, and it also will go like 1 to 2 miles an hour faster in cruise.
Really?
And the ailerons respond better. It flies. I've had several people say they like how it flies in turbulence better with the cuff. Most of the time I have slats on as well, leading edge slats, but I don't like them for STOL drag, so that's why they're not on now. But there's little things like these plastic pieces here. I just call them drag inducers. These underneath the middle of the plane, there's one. The ones on top, all those are for is creating drag when I'm slipping. Well, normally you can still see the notches right here. Most of the flap systems, there's a button on the end of the flap handle, and so it's like click, click, click into the notches. And then to release them, you have to pull on it to take the pressure off, push the end of the handle, and let it down. Mine is set up, I got rid of these clickers and made a hydraulic system so I can put them on. It's just this valve right here. So they're infinite in where they go. They can be anywhere. It's not notches. I can put any amount I want. But the best part about it is I don't have to push and let that flap lever down. I just hit it and I'm instantly back on the throttle. And when they're loaded, you know, with the air pressure, it goes down like really just. It's gentle but fast, and they're gone. Because it's really important landing when and where I want to land that I dump my flaps. Exactly when I want to dump my flaps.
Yeah, exactly. Now what's this bottle right here?
It's a nitrous bottle, and people use nitrous to make horsepower. I don't really use it that way because I feel like I get enough horsepower with my turbocharger. But being as I do have a turbocharger, I have some turbo lag too. So when I come back in the throttle, it's and then it'll get going. Well, on the turnaround, you want that turnaround to just, you gotta nail it. It's gotta happen quickly, or you just waste time and you get beat.
So where's your button to?
It's right here.
Oh, okay.
So what I do though is on that turnaround, I hit the nitrous as I'm spooling it back up, and it helps it get going quicker to start making power. I'm on the throttle as I'm stopping. I can't wait till I'm stopped. Mm-hmm. I have to be rolling in the throttle as I'm coming to a stop, or I'll be waiting on that turbo.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Steve, for just doing a quick walk around and showing some really cool, unique things. Like I said, if someone wanted to pick some stuff up, where could they go to get like an Apex engine, all that stuff?
Wild West Aircraft.
Wild West Aircraft. Awesome. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm here with Jeff and his 175. We're just going to walk around. He's going to show some really cool features that he's done, maybe what's different about this, and what he's done to get it ready to go STOL drag.
Yeah. So it started out as a 175. Somebody converted it already, so I got lucky there.
So it didn't come like this standard?
Oh, no, tricycle gear. 175s are all tricycle.
Okay.
And so common conversion is to put them on their tail. What's uncommon is the 0470 is what we put in the front of it. And that is an STC engine, so you can do that.
And how much horsepower is that?
So stock is 230.
Okay.
These were 175 horse stock on a GO300. And people didn't like the engine, so that's kind of why the model probably didn't go any further than it did. I just wanted a big 0470, and actually they were cheaper at the time because they're takeoff upgrades for other people in 182s and 180s. This one started off at 230 horse, and then we later put on new cylinders, port polish, and 9-to-1 pistons. So we think we're 280, 290 horse.
All right. Wow.
We just put a new MT prop on it. That's an 83, and that actually has beta.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
And so we're working on the beta on stopping. I can use it on the ground when we're cold, which is kind of cool. The original belly skins on like 175s, 172s, they're thinner. They're 032 belly skins, and from here back now it's basically a 185 structurally on the floor. That just happened. Because when you race like this and you race like I do and you come in hard, you're going to wrinkle skins. And so I did that just because I didn't want to have any structural issues. I had an opportunity to put titanium gear on this year, so this is new titanium gear. We went with the Grove 10-inch brakes, or 10-inch wheels with 8-inch discs, which is a big upgrade from the 6s. 35s, out to High Sierra. Inside we did, we got rid of the Cessna stock seats. We cut the rails off and we put on Razor seats. And I did this because everybody upgrades their Razor seats to the modern pass-throughs, and so they throw these away, and you can pick them up for nothing, and they're super comfortable. If you set the rake just right, I can go, I've done 13 hours in this airplane in that seat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a huge improvement. We have a standard panel. I just went with the eye-level bomb with the iPad with the Wi-Fi in, but I did put backup G5 and Garmin 760 in there, and a Garmin radio with Bluetooth because I like the music. And smoke oil is in the back.
Where does the smoke come out of?
So it's a magic mix. So we run the lines from the tank here, and it's like a race car fuel cell. And we ran the lines up under the floor. When the floor was out, we ran all hard lines, and it comes out right under there. There's a nozzle. You can see the red and the blue, and it goes up into the hottest point of the manifold. That's how we get the serious smoke. Okay. Kyle designed the nozzle, and that's why it does what it does. He put his magic little twist on it, and that made it what it was.
That's awesome.
The real big thing that got us all the attention was the slats. So these are carbon fiber slats that we put on. We played with the inlet and the outlet to try to get maximum lift, and they are really a game changer on this wing. I mean, it comes in real high angle, super slow. Yeah, I really like them. They slow us down in cruise, obviously, but for the safety that I gain and the cruise speed that I lose, I'm happy with the safety gain. Because I know that if something happens and I lose power, I'll be able to come in super slow and save the airframe probably on a place like this. So we went with a T3 tail wheel, shock tail wheel with a baby bush wheel. That really helps for the real hard landings. The battery door on a stock 175. This is the stock battery door in a 175. We added another battery door, another door, and put the battery back here. So we moved the battery aft one bay. When you put a 470 on it, your CG moves real forward. So we wanted to push everything we could back to keep it in check. And then we added a big ingot right here. There's actually 28 pounds right there.
Oh, wow.
There's a lead ingot that we made and bolts to the back bulkhead, and that's common on these 470 conversions.
Okay.
Typically it's about 11 pounds, but racing we want a real heavy tail, so we added 28.
Wow.
So and it's nice in cruise because I can take that off in about 5 minutes and I move it all the way up behind the pilot seat. Then I can just load it all the way back.
Okay.
So, skylights. You don't see those a lot on 175s. We did those this year too. We did all 5. It makes it so nice. Now I got rear view. And I never had that before. So yeah, really made it fun.
Hey Jeff, thank you so much. That was really cool. I really appreciate you taking the time out just to walk around your plane and show some really cool things. I'm just having a great time, and great job on the racing today. Looks like you had fun.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep.